Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to our tourism lesson. This program is proudly brought to you by the Houghton Department of Education in collaboration with Zaibona Center. My name is Tobigli Teb. And then our topic today, we're going to be looking at political situations and unforeseen occurrences of international significance. All right, 12. Let's check what we are supposed to do. Political situations and unforeseen occurrences. And then we are specifically looking at section E in our question paper. Remember, all these topics you are going to be asked in your exams. And then in your paper, you will find section E. There's section A, B, C, D, and E. And in section E, question 9, you are going to be tested on political situations and unforeseen occurrences of international significance. And then remember, our assessment is like this. We've got control tests, we've got skills assessment tasks, we've got PET, we've got prelims, and we've got the final examination. All right. And then our objectives of the day. By the end of this lesson, we should all be able to define concepts, and then we should also give examples of political situations and unforeseen occurrences. And then we have to discuss the impact of these situations and occurrences on international tourism. All right, class. Let's check terminology. We've got different terms. These terms are for you to understand. Make sure you understand, you grasp these concepts, because they are going to help us make our lesson very easy. And when you come across them in other questions, then you are going to answer them correctly. And remember, every time we are doing a topic, just look at the past exam papers. You check the past exam papers as from 2014 up to now, up to last year, which is 2023. Then you check for the questions on political situations and unforeseen occurrences of international significance. They are going to help you to answer the questions. You teach yourself now, as you are studying, take past exam papers, answer the question in the past exam papers. Then you'll be ready for your exams. All right, let's look at the first concept, political situation and unforeseen occurrences. All right, for example, the recent political situation, we've got what? Civil wars, terrorism, and general unrest. These are political situations. Why are we saying they are political situations? It is because they are caused by instability, political instability. And then let's look at civil war. When we are dealing with civil war, this is the war within a certain group of people. It can be a country, it can be a province, it can be a region. All right? The civil war, the example of a civil war, for example, in Africa, we've got Sudan, there's civil war there. And we also have the Democratic Republic of Congo. There's been an ongoing civil war there. All right? These are the people of the same country, but they are fighting each other. It can be on tribal grounds. All right? Civil war, it can be on tribal grounds. That is a civil war. It can also be on religious grounds, or a certain group of people in a certain area that are not happy about the service delivery. Okay, maybe they think they are being treated unfairly. All right, then they start fighting each other. That is general unrest. Sorry about that. We are looking at civil war now, all right? People of the same country fighting each other, okay? Then let's look at terrorism. When we are looking at terrorism, this is an act of terror, all right? That is brought in by someone. For example, we've got the suicide bombers. These are terrorists, okay? They are just killing civilians, killing people for no apparent reason. And maybe someone just not be happy about something. It is an act of terror. And then we also have an example of the 2 aeroplanes that were hijacked in 2001, 11 September in United States of America. Okay, these aeroplanes went straight to the Twin Towers. All right, a lot of people died there. That was an act of terrorism. All right, and then we've got general unrest. When we're talking about general unrest, it is, for example, when people are not happy about the service delivery, then they start protesting, or if people go on strike, that is general unrest. All these political situations scare away tourists because tourists won't feel safe if they go to a country that is experiencing civil war or acts of terrorism or even general unrest. They won't feel safe. Therefore, they won't go to that area. At times, people just cancel their flights, cancel the holiday packages, all right? In the tourism will be affected greatly, okay, because of the political situation, okay. And then we've got examples of unforeseen occurrences. When we say unforeseen occurrences, we are talking about something that we don't have control over. All right, it is beyond our control. It is an unforeseen occurrence. No one prepares for it because it is unforeseen. All right, the examples of unforeseen occurrences, we've got tsunamis, we've got earthquakes, and other natural disasters. We are saying they are unforeseen because we don't prepare for them. They just happen. All right, for example, if we're talking about tsunamis, what is a tsunami? Tsunami is a Japanese word meaning big harbor. All right? There will be an earthquake in the sea, and then the water will be squeezed out. Okay? Then it will be a big harbor, then it will sweep even outside the ocean. We call that a tsunami. And then we've got earthquakes where the earth will shake. Why? Because of the faults in the earth. Okay. Remember the earth, we've got the hot lava, we've got the outer core, we also have the mantle, then we are on the earth's crust. All right. Therefore, if there is a problem, there is a tear, then we'll experience what? Earthquake. And then there are areas which are prone of earthquakes. All right? Remember Mount Everest. Where is Mount Everest, by the way? It is in Nepal. All right? And then Nepal is prone to earthquakes. Therefore, if there is an earthquake, the tourists cancel their holiday packages. All right? Then the tourism industry suffers. And then we also have other natural disasters. For example, we've got the avalanches, wildfires. These are natural disasters, floods. Remember, recently there were floods in what? KZN. A lot of people lost their lives. Some people lost their homes, they lost their houses, and then infrastructure also was damaged because of these floods. All right, and remember, grade 12, when you are doing tourism, you should always be up to date with current affairs. You should watch the news, listen to the news. Okay, and then we've got global recession, we've got diseases, we've got accidents, and economic upsets. All right, when we are talking about global recession, this will be affecting the whole globe. It will be affecting the whole world. All right, and then we also have diseases. We have experienced a lot of these things. For example, diseases, if we talk of cholera, what is happening now in Zambia? They are experiencing cholera outbreak. Okay? We had COVID-19 as well. It affected the whole globe. All right? Then accidents happen almost in each and every day of our lives. We don't plan for accident. We try to control, okay? But they happen. And then also the economic upsets. All right. Identify recent examples, just recent examples, and don't study them a lot. These are the political situations and unforeseen occurrences. Okay. And then the impact of these situations and occurrences on international tourism and the economy of the affected country. All right, there is a great impact on these situations and occurrences on tourism because the tourists are going to be scared away. They are going to cancel the holiday packages. And then, as a result, the tourism industry will suffer because of these situations and occurrences. All right, let's look at podcast situations and unforeseen occurrences of international significance. Podcast situation. A podcast situation is a situation that occurs as a result of what? Of problems within a country's government. When citizens of a country are unhappy with their government, then we call that a what? A political situation. And then demonstrations of violent behavior. These are going to scare away the tourists. And then the examples of political situations, they include civil wars. We've talked about civil wars where people of the same country will be fighting each other. Then terrorism, this is an act of terror. For example, we've got the Twin Towers that were hit by two hijacked aeroplanes in 11 September 2001 in the United States of America. And then we've got general unrest. These are strikes. These are protests. Okay. They also scare away tourists. And then we've got unforeseen occurrences. Unforeseen occurrences, something that we are not seeing, something that is beyond our control. Okay? We don't see it coming. And unforeseen is something that happens which takes everyone by surprise. Why is it taking everyone by surprise? Because we did not expect it. All right? It is beyond our control. And then we've got examples of political situations. We've got general unrest. Okay? These are riots and general strikes, or we can say protests, okay? And anti-government demonstration. This is general unrest. General unrest impacts negatively on the tourism industry because tourists from the whole world will not visit a certain place because there is general unrest. If there is general unrest, it is not safe for tourists to travel to that area. Then violent rebellion. This is against the government. And then civil war, when one group of the population is fighting another group of the population. For example, people in the same country are fighting each other. That is civil war. For example, we've got the Democratic Republic of Congo, we've got Sudan, all right? These are the countries near us in Africa that have got civil wars. And then we've got military coup. When we are talking about military coup, it is the military of the country that takes over the government by force, all right? Remember, the government is being elected, okay? Like voting, okay? People are being voted in, but if it is a military coup, the military will just take over by force. Remember, the military saves the present government, but at times they do a coup. All right. Then acts of terrorism. It is often based on beliefs. All right. It is because it is based on beliefs. Bombings and killings innocent civilians. That's what they do when they do these terrorism attacks. And then genocides. When we're talking about genocides, we are talking about mass killing of certain groups of people. Like in Rwanda, there was mass killing of people. That was a genocide between the Hutus and the Tutsis. Okay. We've got a lot of genocides that we are experiencing now. Look at Israel and Gaza. Look at what is happening. They are bombing Gaza almost every day, 24/7. Okay? A lot of people are dying there. Innocent people are dying. And then we've got the examples of unforeseen occurrences. Okay? We've got natural disasters, accidents, diseases, global recession, and economic upset. All right. When we look at natural disasters, let's all look at natural disasters. We've got the tsunamis. Okay? It's a natural disaster. Okay? It is not planned for. It happens in the sea. For example, it is prone in Japan. All right? It happens in the sea, then it washes out to land, then it turns to other countries, killing a lot of people, killing a lot of animals, even destroying the infrastructure. And then we've got earthquakes. Remember, we've experienced tremors, right? But places like Nepal, they always encounter earthquakes, all right? And then it brings problems to the tourism industry. Why am I saying it is bringing problems to the tourism industry? It is because the tourists will not visit such an area that has got an earthquake, all right? Because it is not safe. And then floods. Floods are also natural disasters, all right? For example, there were floods in KZN recently. They killed a lot of people, destroyed infrastructure. Some people are homeless, even up to now. And some people are still missing. These are the floods that we are talking about. And then, remember in 2012, there were floods in National Park, okay? What happened? A lot of animals died at Kruger National Park because of these floods, okay? And then we've got cyclones. When we are talking about cyclones, we are talking about heavy rains with a lot of wind, all right? They normally start at the sea, then they come to land. They are very heavy and the wind is so strong that it destroys infrastructure. People are left homeless, people die, animals die because of that, all right? For example, in Mozambique, they experience a lot of these cyclones, all right? Remember, the land should be above sea level, all right? But let's look at Mozambique, where the cyclones destroy infrastructure. It is mostly in Beira, okay? Beira, the land is low, all right? It is not all that high than the sea level, okay? Therefore, it is very easy for the sea water to sweep out to land, killing animals, destroying infrastructure, okay? And then we've got wildfires. When we're talking about wildfires, we're talking about fires that start out in the forest, okay? It can be because it is very hot. Then the forest ignites. Then we've got wildfires. At times, it is because of human error. Then they start the fires, which will be uncontrollable, right? Remember what happened in Australia recently. There were wildfires. Even in California and USA, there were wildfires, right? And then avalanches. Do you know what an avalanche is great for? When we're talking about avalanches, it is an area with a lot of snow. At times you see the mountains covered by the snow. And then all of a sudden, you see the snow from the mountains moving as if it is wind. The snow will be moving. Therefore, it kills anything, destroys infrastructure, it kills people on the way. That is an avalanche. And then we've got mudslides. When we're talking about mudslides, it is an area where there've been a lot of rains, and then the soil or the land is unstable, all right? And then the mud starts moving. It flows like a river, okay? Then it is a mudslide. Okay, and then we've got the hurricanes. When we're talking about hurricanes, they are prone in United States of America. It is the heavy rains with a lot of wind. They destroy a lot of infrastructure. They kill a lot of people. Okay, and then we've got droughts. When we're talking about droughts, it is where there is no rainfall. If there is no rainfall, then there will be drought. Then the plants are not going to survive. Then the grazers and the browsers are going to die because there is no food for them. All right? The cows die. Okay? The animals that are grazers die because there's no food. And then it affects even the omnivores and the carnivores. All right? Remember, the carnivores feed on animals. Then when there is no grass, the animals won't survive, they'll die. And we've got omnivores that feed on what? On grass and meat. They also die because there is no water. And the carnivores will also suffer. All right? These are the droughts. We will also suffer because we won't farm because there is no water. And then lightning. Lightning is an example of a natural disaster because it strikes if it strikes an area, the area burns. Okay. And then we've got volcanic activity. Remember what is happening now in Iceland. All right. There's been a volcanic activity and people have been evacuated from an area where there is a lot of volcanic activity. All right. And they don't know whether they will go back soon because it erupted and then it erupted again. Okay. Destroying infrastructure and not making it safe for human beings to live there. All right. Let's look at accidents. Okay. These are examples of unforeseen occurrences. We've got aircraft crashes. These are accidents, aircraft crashes. And then we've got train accidents. Okay. We also have stampedes. Do you know what a stampede is? Great horse. All right. When we're talking about stampedes, this is when there are a lot of people. And then when people move or try to run away from people, from something else, then people start tripping on each other. Then other people step on each other. Then a person can die because of stampede. Right? Remember what happens in Mecca every year. At times people die because of stampede. Right? And then let's look at the collapsing buildings. Buildings have collapsed. A lot of buildings have collapsed. And some buildings have killed a lot of people. Some collapse because there are a lot of rains, and some collapse because they've not been built with proper material, and people die as such. And some collapse because there are wars, there are bombings, all right? And then sinking cruise ships. Some cruise ships sink, killing a lot of people, right? For example, let's look at the Titanic. The Titanic sank. Why? Because it hit a block of ice and then it sank. All right. And then imploding submarines. This happened recently. All right. Remember the 5 wealthy men who went in a capsule submarine to see the Titan. And then the submarine imploded, okay, killing all crew members. And then now let's look at diseases. When we're looking at diseases, we've got COVID-19. COVID-19 was a global problem because it affected the whole globe. Everyone was affected. Everyone stayed at home because of COVID-19. It affected us a lot, the tourism industry, because some attractions were closed. Some hotels were closed because there were no tourists. People were not allowed to travel. People had to stay at home, right? Because of COVID-19. And then there is cholera. It's another disease that kills a lot of people. Look at Zambia now. They are experiencing cholera. Okay. And then influenza. Influenza is a disease that also kills a lot of people, and even malaria. But with malaria, a lot has been done to try to help people not to be killed by malaria. Okay. Because there's medication to prevent from being affected by malaria. There are mosquito nets. There are a lot of things that have been done so that people don't die of malaria. There is also tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is curable if it is detected very fast. You take medication, then you don't spread it to other people. Okay, it is also an unforeseen occurrence. And then global recession. When we are looking at global recession, let's look at 2009. There was global recession, and then 1991, there was also a global recession, and then 2020, COVID-19 global recession. All right. And then when we're talking about global recession, do you understand what we're talking about? Because let's look at 2020 COVID-19 global recession. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of companies closed. It was a problem because manufacturing companies couldn't even manufacture. Some of them couldn't. They had to close, and people lost their jobs. And this COVID-19 was killing a lot of people. Some of the companies came to a standstill, and people lost their jobs. Okay. And then economic upsets. We've got 2008 to 2009 US economic upset, and then 2010 European sovereign debt crisis. It was a European sovereign debt crisis. And then 2012, there was Greek financial crisis. All right, grade 12, let's take a break. Make sure you check these examples. We'll take a 5-minute break, but I'll leave the work on so that you'll be checking on it as you are drinking water. All right, grade 12. Hope you have talked about the examples of unforeseen occurrences and we've understood them. All right. These are the unforeseen occurrences. We've looked at natural disasters, accidents, diseases, globalization, economic upsets. Okay. And then let's look at the impact of unforeseen occurrences of international tourism. The tourism industry will come to a standstill. Why? Because of the cancellations of flights, cancellation of holiday packages. Because of these impact of unforeseen occurrences, and then it is affected in affected areas of the majority of the infrastructure would have been damaged. If the infrastructure is damaged, then the tourists won't reach their destination. Okay. Therefore, they will cancel the holiday package, they will cancel the flights. And then tourists will not be able to communicate with people in affected areas to determine the extent of the damage and will rather not show up. If you cannot communicate, then you rather not show up. If you show up, then if there is a problem, it will be difficult to be rescued. Therefore, tourists will not visit such an area. So it is a negative impact, all right, on tourism. Tourists will avoid the area and travel to alternative destinations, and then there will be a decrease in tourists. If there is a decrease in tourists, there is decrease in foreign revenue, all right. And there will be prolonged periods of zero tourism activities until infrastructure has been rebuilt. For example, we're talking about areas that were affected by civil wars, okay? Areas that have been affected by what? By floods. Infrastructure has been destroyed. Then infrastructure has to be rebuilt so that the tourists will visit such areas. All right. That's a problem. It's a negative impact. Okay. Therefore, the tourists will avoid going to such areas. And in the tourism industry, we will suffer them. There will be prolonged periods on zero tourism. People say zero tourism. There won't be tourists at all. There won't be tourists at all visiting an area that has been affected. Okay. For example, let's look at Iceland. There are volcanic eruptions. Do you think you can visit such an area? No. No. You won't visit such an area because you'll be scared of your life. Then the tourists may flock or travel in large numbers to an area to witness an unusual, unforeseen occurrence. Other people will flock to an area to witness an unforeseen occurrence. Right. For example, in our daily lives, if you see an accident, for example, of cars, normally people will gather around and stand, okay, and watch what is happening. All right. These are people that will travel in large numbers to an area to witness and what? An unusual, unforeseen occurrence. There are a lot of unforeseen occurrences where people will travel to go and see what's happening there. Right. At times, if there's an accident, people will flock there. Then there will be a bystander effect. They just look, they don't do anything, they don't call an ambulance. Okay. And then impact of unforeseen occurrences on international tourism, they decrease in tourist numbers. Obviously, the numbers of tourists will decrease if there is a negative impact on this. If tourists visit, they stay for shorter periods. They will stay for shorter periods. Okay. And then loss of confidence in the destination when it comes to safety measures or labor and safe infrastructure. The tourists won't be confident enough because there is loss of confidence in the destination. They are not sure whether it is safe to travel to a certain area. Therefore, they would rather not go to an affected area. All right. Some people, if they experience a negative impact, they don't visit an area. If they experience maybe an unforeseen occurrence, they don't visit an area, they will be afraid. And that destruction of tourism infrastructure, economic and physical, right? If we're talking about destruction of tourism infrastructure, economic and physical, we are talking about the destruction. It can be physical, okay? For example, if the tourist destination, the infrastructure has been destroyed, that is physical, okay? But it is also, there is destruction of tourism infrastructure economical, because now we're talking about money. We need money to repair the roads, the bridges, the hotels, all right? That's why we are saying both physical and economic. And then disruptions to normal day-to-day operations. There will be a lot of disruption on a normal day-to-day operation. Then breakout of diseases. Okay, when we are looking at breakout of diseases, for example, a country that is experiencing war, there will be a breakout of diseases. For example, now we are looking at Israel and Gaza war. The children are becoming malnutritioned in Gaza. Why? Because food is not reaching them. Because their country is being bombed day and night. Right? We know the Hamas kidnapped the people of Israel. Okay? But the innocent souls, the children, are being affected because there will be a breakout of diseases. They don't have clean water. If you listen to the news, you will see that they don't have clean water. At times, even the food aid doesn't reach them. All right. Therefore, they will experience what? Malnutrition, and some will die. Okay. And then let's look at impacts of unforeseen occurrences on the economy of the affected country. There will be job losses, okay? There will be job losses due to damaged infrastructure, negative impact on income earnings, all right? If there is a problem and the tourists are not visiting an area, there will be a problem, okay, economically, because the workers need to be paid. But what are they going to be paid with? Because the tourists are not reaching their destination. Okay. And then the GDP is affected negatively. When we're talking about GDP, grade 12, we're talking about gross domestic products. All right. And loss of foreign revenue. There will be a loss of foreign revenue because the tourists won't be reaching their destinations. They'll just cancel the flights, cancel the holiday packages, and then loss in profits. They won't make profit. The tourism industry won't make profit. And then decrease in tourist numbers. If there is an unforeseen occurrence or a political situation, the tourists will be scared away. They will not visit such an area. Therefore, there will be a decrease in tourist numbers. And then loss in profits may lead to retrenchments. If there is loss in profits, then the tourism industry will start retrenching its workers because it won't be able to pay them. Remember what happened during COVID-19? A lot of people were jobless. There were retrenchments because the tourists were not visiting. No one was traveling. People were staying at home. So people lose or may lose their jobs because of loss of profits. and closure of tourism businesses. Most tourism businesses closed during COVID-19. All right? They closed. Why? Because people were not traveling. And then higher unemployment. A lot of people were unemployed because companies were closed. Okay. And then negative impact on the country's economic growth. Negative impact on the country's economic growth. Okay. And then negative impact on the multiplier effect is there will be a decrease in tourist visiting, that's leading to a decrease in spending. Remember when we are talking about multiplier effect, when tourists come into the country, they will travel, they will need transport. And the transport industry is being taxed. And then they will spend on transport. The tourists will also spend on accommodation because they need accommodation. Then the hotels are also being taxed. And then they will also spend on food. Remember, the restaurants are also being taxed. And then that money that is being taxed is going to improve infrastructure. Therefore, we will all benefit indirectly. And some people benefit directly, and some people benefit indirectly because we'll all use those roads. Okay? All right. And then, as there are no tourists coming into the country, there will be a decrease in spending. Because when tourists come to the country, we want them to spend. Remember in 2010 when we hosted the FIFA World Cup, we had a lot of tourists coming into the country. They were using transport. They were booking at hotels, at B&Bs for accommodation. They were also eating. They were also buying souvenirs. They were also visiting attraction sites. Therefore, a lot of money was coming into the country because there were a lot of tourists that were visiting the country. But if the country experiences an unforeseen occurrence, natural disasters, then the tourists will be scared away. They won't visit such a country. Then the country is going to lose a lot. All right. And then a decline in foreign tourist arrivals will result in decrease in foreign income because foreign income won't be coming. When the tourists are not coming, the money won't have it. Won't have foreign income because when tourists are coming, then we'll have foreign revenue. Then the multiplier effect will be negatively affected due to fewer tourists visiting the attractions. Okay, the multiplier effect will be negatively affected. Why are we saying that? Because we said when tourists come into the country, we need them to spend. They spend on transport, they spend on accommodation, they spend on food, they spend on a lot of things. When they are visiting attractions, they will be spending. Buying souvenirs, they will be spending. We want them to spend, all right? That's how in the tourism industry we make a lot of money, all right? And then domestic travel will be affected, okay? Because if the affected area, the tourists won't visit much, okay? Domestic travel to the affected areas will decrease, resulting in a decrease in visitor numbers and spending. Because when the visitors are not coming, when the tourists are not coming, no one is spending. Okay? When a few visitors come, they will spend, but it won't be much. Okay? There will be a decrease in the foreign revenue as well. Okay? And then examples of recent unforeseen occurrences. Floods in South Africa, 2022 and 2023 affecting 7 provinces. This is a natural disaster, all right? And then 10 October 2023, Afghanistan earthquake. This is a natural disaster. 20 September 2023, South Africa's Navy heroine class submarine SAS, Menthetis, high waves swept 7 crew members out to sea. That was an accident. Okay, the South Africa's Navy's heroine class submarine SAS, the high wave swept 7 crew members out to sea. That was an accident. And then submersible Titan, that was diving to view the Titanic on ocean floor. All 5 died. They all died. 18 June 2023, Titan catastrophic implosion accident. That was an accident. These are the examples of recent unforeseen occurrences. And then 24 December 2022, there was a box fuel tanker explosion. And then the death was 41. That was an accident. Okay. And then COVID-19 outbreak first identified in Chinese city of Wuhan, December. And then that was a disease. And then war in Ukraine resulting to high inflation, food and energy crisis. This is an economic upset. All right, grade 12, I want to look at the slide, talk about it, and then drink water quickly, go to the toilet, then we'll have 5 minutes break to do that. great talk. Hope you have discussed about the floods, the earthquakes, and the accidents, and the diseases, and the economic upset that we've talked about. Okay. All right. If you've got questions and if you don't understand anything, make sure you give us a question on WhatsApp. And our number is 079 578 2908. Our WhatsApp number again, 079 578 2908. All right. We've talked about the examples of recent unforeseen occurrences. We talked about the floods in South Africa 2022-2023 affecting all 7 provinces. This is a natural disaster because it happens naturally. And then 10 October 2023, Afghanistan earthquake, it's also a natural disaster beyond our control. And then 20 September 2023, South Africa's Navy heroine class submarine SAS had the high waves that swept 7 crew members out to sea. That was an accident. And then 18 June 2023, the Titan catastrophic implosion, that was an accident. And then 24 December 2022, there was a Boxback fuel tank explosion and the death was 41. It was an accident. And then COVID-19 outbreak, first identified in Chinese city of Wuhan in December 2019. It is a disease. And then the war in Ukraine, which is resulting to high inflation, food and energy crisis, that is economic upset. And the war in Gaza, where the Israelis are bombing Gaza because they want their people which were kidnapped by the Hamas. Okay, these are the recent ones. And then let's look at the examples of these recent unforeseen occurrences. Let's look at the pictures. We've got a cruise liner sinking there. It is an unforeseen occurrence. We've got the fires. So we've got the wildfires. We've got the fires here. We've got the train accidents. We've got quite a number of unforeseen occurrences. Look at this house, okay? It's been destroyed. And look at the hurricanes and the cyclones, the wind, and look at the lightning and the tsunamis. This is devastating. And even the drought. Look at this animal. It is dead here because of droughts. Okay, there is no vegetation at all. It cannot eat anything. All these are examples of unforeseen occurrences. And as a result, they destroy the environment. They kill people. They kill animals. All right. Let's move on. Examples of recent political situation. Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which began in 2014 but escalated up to now, to date. Okay. And then ongoing Israel versus Palestine conflict. Okay. 2023, which started after the Hamas group targeted the major cities of Israel with almost 3,000 rockets in 20 minutes on 7 October 2023 and kidnapping people. All right. And then the South African national shutdown protest held by the political party Economic Freedom Fighters. Okay. It is a political situation. All right. Great. Talk. What are we going to do now? I'm going to give you an activity. Remember, when you are answering the question papers, you take a past exam paper, you look at the topic that we've been discussing. For example, today we've been doing what? political situations, and unforeseen occurrences. You check on section E, question 9. There are a lot of questions there. Therefore, let's check the questions. And then the past exam papers that you can use for revision is from 2014 to date, that is up to 2023. You can use this past exam paper. Every time we do a topic, take the question paper, any question paper, attempt the questions, okay, on that topic, and then also mark for yourself, because there will be a memo as well. Then when doing this, you will be practicing for exams. The way you are going to answer these questions are going to help you to remember until when you write. It will make it very easy. All right, let's check it. Question 9. Study the cartoon on global events in January 2020 below and answer the questions that follow. This is a cartoon. Just look at it. Look at A. Look at B, C, D, and E. Okay, look at all this. And then the question is going like this. 9.11. Identify the unforeseen global occurrences A, B, and C in January 2020. Okay, let's look at our A's here, our B's here, and our C is here. All right, study them and then identify the unforeseen global occurrence A, B, and C in January 2020. Then question 9.1.2. Discuss one way in which unforeseen global occurrence B impacted on the global tourism industry after March 2020. And then there will be a mark allocation. This one is 2. The first one is 6. Make sure you check the mark allocation when you are answering. Make sure you answer so that you get all the points. All right, great. 12. I'll give you 5 minutes to answer the questions. Then we'll meet in 5 minutes. Let's start writing. All right, great. Top learners, hope you are done answering the questions. Let us look at the answers together. Remember, every time we do a topic, take a past question paper. Answer the question based on that topic, and then download the memo and you mark your work. You will see that you are going to make it. All right. Okay, let's check for 9.11. Identify the unforeseen global occurrence in A, B, and C. All right, let's look at A. What do you think A is? These are wildfires. All right, and then what about B? B, what are you seeing here? On B, this is COVID-19. All right, and then what about C? This is an aeroplane. It is being attacked. All right. What is it being attacked on? A, we said wildfires, that is wildfire. Then B, it's a natural disaster and animals were killed in the fire. And then B, the outbreak of the coronavirus. That's a disease and it was a pandemic. The name is COVID-19. And then C, aircraft was shot down. A disaster or a crash, and then missile attack on an aircraft. Okay, let's mark question 911. A, we said wildfires. Okay, we can say wildfires. Then it's a natural disaster. Animals were killed in the fire. Then outbreak of coronavirus. It was a disease. It was a pandemic, that is COVID-19. And then C, we saw an airplane. It was shot down. Then it was an air disaster. Then missile attack on an airplane. All right, let's check the picture again. This, we said it is a wildfire, all right? And then what do you think happened? It is a natural disaster, and then a lot of animals died because of the wildfire. Then B, this is B. B, this is coronavirus. It was a pandemic. It affected the whole globe. People died because of it. All right. And then let's look at C. This is an aeroplane. It is being shot down at. Okay. And then let's check question 912. Discuss one way in which unforeseen global occurrence. B. Let's look at B. Unforeseen global occurrence impacted on the global tourism industry after March 2020. Remember what we said here. We said this is COVID-19. Okay, how was the world affected from March 2020? Let's look at the solutions. Remember, we said A, these are wildfires, B, the outbreak of coronavirus, and C, the aircraft was shot down. All right. And then 9.12, due to the lockdown in certain countries, people were unable to travel. Remember, during lockdown, people were not allowed to travel. Why? Because the disease would spread if we traveled. Okay, so we're supposed to stay put. Local and international airports in certain countries were closed because there was no movement. Okay, certain sectors of the tourism industry shut down. Why? Because people were not traveling. There were no tourists because people were on lockdown. People went home. Many employees in the tourism and hospitality industries lost their jobs. They lost their jobs. Why? Because there was a lockdown, people were not traveling, there were no tourists. Therefore, people lost their jobs. And then Tourists were left stranded in other countries and could not return home. Some people were in other countries when COVID-19 started and they were left stranded. They had to stay in a foreign country because lockdown found them in that country. All right, who got everything correct? Great talks. There are some who got it correct. All right, you can just take a picture of your work and send us on 079 578 2908 so that we see what you have written. All right, that's very good if you totalized, but even if you didn't totalize, don't worry, you practice, you take another question paper and check for question 9. All right, this one was an activity from 2021 May June tourism question paper, so you can as well look for other years and different question papers. Okay, different years, but check for question 9. Why? Because I said political situations were in what? Section E, question 9. Okay, remember last time we did what? Global events of international significance. We still remember that, don't we? And then we are going to summarize our lesson. But before we summarize our lesson, I want you to discuss these answers with your friends, okay? I'll just give you 5 minutes to discuss the answers, discuss how they are, and then if you think you've got a question, you ask us on 079 578 2908. After that, then we summarize and close our lesson. All right, great hopes. Hope you have discussed these solutions with your friends. All right, let's summarize our lesson. Let's look at sustainability. All right, there are three pillars of sustainable tourism. We've got social. We'll be talking about the social aspect, the people, then the environment, how we should care for the environment and the reduce carbon footprint. And then economic, we are talking about money, whether money comes in through tourism. For example, if tourists are coming into a country, we expect a lot of foreign income that will come to a country. And then there's multiplier effect. All right, why are we saying that? It is because when tourists come into the country, we want them to spend. They spend on transport, they spend on accommodation, they spend on food. All right, and as a result, there are people that are employed in the tourism industry. They benefit directly, and there are people who benefit indirectly, because all these sectors are being taxed by the government. Then the government will improve the infrastructure. Therefore, all the citizens of the country will benefit from that. Right. And then when we are looking at the environment, we say we learn how to care for the environment, reduce the carbon footprint. If I'm talking about the carbon footprint, we are talking about the amount of pollution we are causing to the environment. We reduce that one, all right? That is a carbon footprint. We plant a lot of trees. You remember about the tourism lesson, learners, don't you? All right. And then social, we're talking about people. We're talking about people who care for the tourists who come to the country. We're talking about the entertainers. We're talking about the people who are working in the tourism sector. All right. And then we're also talking about the people where the attractions are. If there is an attraction in an area, local people in that area should be employed, right? Therefore, the tourism industry is giving back to the people because it employs the people of that area. Only skilled personnel should be hired from other places, but the general work is being done by the local people within that attraction. Okay. And then there are also hotels in the area where the attractions are. You can see that most hotels, they will buy their fruits and vegetables in local supermarkets, and the local supermarkets buy their fruits and veggies from the local farmers in the area. Therefore, we are practicing responsible tourism. All right, creators, you see the sustainability of tourism. All right, I'll just give you a few minutes to copy the homework. This will be your homework. All right, I'll just give you 2 minutes to copy the homework. You can just take a photo, then you're going to do it at home. 2 minutes. All right, grade 12, you have written the questions or you have just taken a picture of the questions. Thank you very much, grade 12s. Go and do your homework at home, and then you also read more. Thank you very much. So long for now.